Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, welcome to my playthrough of Mega Man X1 for the SNES. I figured since I don't have nearly the experience with Mega Man 5 and 6 as I do the other games in this series, I decided, you know, let's just play X1. I'm gonna go back to 5 and 6 when I feel I have enough practice with those games. So yeah, here we are, Mega Man X1, one of the finest games in the Mega Man series. Which is saying a lot because there are a whole lot of Mega Man games. Back in the day, I only had 4 and X1 for Mega Man. Like, there were very rare times when I would rent another Mega Man game. Like, I rented X2 and X3 and never really bought them. I don't really know why. I mean, like, I think I could only find them at the rental place. I don't know I don't really remember what it was like back then, but anyways. X1 is a really great game. A very excellent reimagining of Mega Man. This game is a whole lot different from the classic series, to the point that some people might just prefer the classic series, and that's okay. It's such a very different experience. This highway intro stage is so iconic that it was actually remade into a stage in Mega Man ZX, which is saying quite a lot because that highway would have had to survive a lot of events throughout the X series. If it's really the same highway. It's probably just a coincidental rebuilt highway. This mini-boss is called the Bee-Blader, because it's a bee, I guess. And it shoots out an enemy called a Deer Ball, I think. I only know those enemy names because they actually show up in Mega Man X Command Mission. A very nice throwback, even in the PlayStation 2 GameCube era of Mega Man. Very nice. And the music. The music in Mega Man X is fantastic. In fact, this intro stage, best song of the game. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? So yeah, you don't really start off with a slide or anything in X1, which is very strange. To go from like 4 games with the slide, I don't think 7 came out until after X2, and 8 was on the PlayStation, so yeah. Picking up that health recovery item was actually unlucky because in order to make this stage go as quickly as possible, you actually want to have very little health at the end of it. There's a reason for that. So it's the end of the stage and we have a aircraft of some kind flying overhead. It's going to be shooting out cars. And you have to destroy 3 of the cars before the boss will appear. And don't pick up that health recovery item. Good. If you let one of the cars from earlier in the stage come in here, I think you have to wait less for them to spawn. And now we have the boss. Get ready. Because now you have to face, I kid you not, Boba Fett from Star Wars. No, really, he totally looks like Boba Fett. Come on. But yeah, this is actually a boss that you're not supposed to win. Eventually, as your health gets lower, he will shoot out paralyzing shots and then hold you in a chokehold. Apparently that ride armor is invincible because it never gets destroyed until the first fortress stage. But just when it looks like X is going to kick the bucket on the intro stage of all places, here comes a new challenger. This is Zero. He's going to be a very important character throughout the X series, but for now, consider him the Yoda to X's Luke Skywalker, and there's a reason for all of these Star Wars allusions. Like, they were heavily inspired by Star Wars when they made this game. There's going to be a lot of that later on in the Fortress stages. Anyways, very iconic moment for the beginning of the X series because you just get your butt kicked by this new enemy who looks like Boba Fett. His name is Vile, by the way. And then you get saved by Zero, who then says, you know, if you work hard, you can be as powerful as me. I just saved your butt. And you're going to be as powerful as me one day. So that's a very good start to the X series, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinions as well. So we've entered the first stage from Stage Select already. The boss is called Chill Penguin. Yeah, they dropped that whole name, everybody with the put the word man in everybody's name. They dropped that whole thing from the classic series. And now we have bosses named after animals and insects sometimes. Yeah. So anyways, there's a reason I went to Chill Penguin first. It's because there's a very important power-up in this stage. They have put power-ups hidden throughout the 8 main stages, a lot of them in fact, but the one in Chill Penguin stage is so important, it's actually mandatory to get it, that you almost have to go to Chill Penguin first. Anyways, here it is. Dr. Light, the creator of Mega Man and Mega Man X, has placed capsules throughout the stages that will give us power-ups. Now, I don't know how he managed to leave these conveniently in the stages that we were going to anyways. Like, how did he know that eventually X was going to be here? He's been dead for at least 20 years, so, like, I have no idea how he managed to put them all in the stages. But that capsule gave us the dash ability. This is the big new thing for Mega Man X. It is similar to the slide, but you can now jump out of it and maintain your speed. So this just makes your speed in Mega Man X a whole lot faster than you ever could in the classic game. But of course, people still prefer the classic games, so they still use the classic continuity for Mega Man's 7, 8, 9, 10, and even 11, which came out very recently. And here I have a Ride Armor. That is a new mech that sometimes shows up. You can't really take it anywhere. You can only really use it wherever it shows up. And there are a couple of stages where it does show up, so those will be fun. I think you can dash with those even if you don't have the dash upgrade. So yeah, it's a little annoying to more or less have to play Chill Penguin first, because not only does the dash upgrade appear here and it's mandatory, you also have Chill Penguin himself, who is a very easy boss and takes more damage from the Buster than most of the other bosses do. Yeah. Right, so, Chill Penguin. Like with the Mega Man 4 playthrough, I'm gonna fight all of these bosses with only the Buster the first time, and then in the refights we will see their weaknesses being played out. Bosses can actually have different reactions to the various weaknesses. And I actually missed a couple in this playthrough now that I think about it, but anyways. Chill Penguin's very easy. It can be annoying to get past those ice statues sometimes, and those ice projectiles will also block your shots, and I've been frozen. Whoops. That was annoying. But he's not a very difficult boss if you use dashing quite a lot. Very easy to just jump over him like this. You can dash jump off of walls, by the way. As soon as you know that, then this can actually be very easy, because you can clear most of his attacks by jumping over him that way. He didn't even use the blizzard attack, where he starts up a blizzard that pushes the ice statues towards you. Well, not a very difficult boss, especially if his AI behaves the way it did. But, like in the classic series, we get weapons from all of them now. Unfortunately, I have to skip all of the weapon get screens. Don't worry though, we'll see Chill Penguin's weapon used in this stage. Next up is Boomer KUUANGER, who has a very vertical level. That's a very weird name, by the way. I get the boomer part because he throws a boomerang. It's kind of a knockoff of Cutman in a way, and Quickman. This is actually a very interesting boss, I just realized. So yeah, vertical stages. Also, this stage theme, best song in the game. By far. Totally. So we have a couple of annoying enemies up here. That wall gun actually dodges your shots. Very strange. And those shield enemies can also be very annoying, but there are weapons that you can use to get past them. I struggle to actually use most weapons in the X series, like, very effectively, because a lot of times it's just easier to use the Buster. You can jump past these enemies, by the way. They're very big and annoying to defeat without a certain weapon. X1 has a very good set of weapons, I would say, but the further you go in the X series, the worse X's weapons get. And eventually they introduce Zero as a playable character. He's definitely preferable to X. Much more powerful, but he takes a lot of damage compared to X in those games. But enough about the future Mega Man X games. This one just has a very slow and boring elevator climb. That's going to be a running gag in this series, I guess. Slow elevator climbs. Anyways, I'm going to switch to Chill Penguin's weapon eventually here. It is called Shotgun Ice. It shoots a projectile that when it hits a wall, it spreads backwards in several directions. That can be useful in some places. It's similar to weapons like Gemini Laser, where you have to place them correctly or know which enemies get killed in one hit by them. Like these gun turrets, they get killed in one hit. And I'm actually unsure what Shotgun Ice's attack power is. I think the little bits of ice are weaker than the main shot. But another thing that can make it annoying to gauge how strong some of the weapons are is that when you dash, jump, and shoot, the shot that you fire with some weapons is actually more powerful than if you had just stood still and shot, which is annoying, because the game never tells you that's the case. I'm not even sure if that's a bug. It doesn't seem like it would be a bug. It'd be very weird to have that be a bug, of all things. But yeah, dash shooting is actually very effective as a strategy. And I don't know if I'll be using it against Boomer KUUANGER here, because the boss is coming up. But, you know, you never know. I'm actually so low on health that I think I'm going to take a death here. It's still annoying that you don't get all of your extra lives back whenever you enter a new stage. I think you should honestly get your extra lives back whenever you enter a new stage. So Boomer KUUANGER is kind of fun because he has an attack that grabs you and sends you flying into the ceiling. Very fun. Now we'll see that boss fought the proper way. And I certainly won't lose another life in this playthrough. No, sir. Anyways, Boomer KUUANGER can be a bit annoying. He will throw his little boomerang head at you, kind of like Cutman, and the fact that it's a boomerang and he is very fast reminds me of Quickman. I'm not even sure what a KUUANGER is. I think it's because he's based on a certain kind of beetle. A KUUAGATA, I think? I don't know. Japan likes insects. Or at the very least, they like insect themes, I guess. Anyways, his teleporting is probably the worst part of the fight because he can teleport on top of you like he just did there. So you've got to stay on the walls if you want to avoid the teleporting, but he can spend a lot of time teleporting before he goes into his dash and throw the boomerang pattern. So yeah, this was actually a very close fight now that I realize it. I was down to the point where one hit would have finished me off. That wouldn't have been good. Because then I would only have one life for the next stage. I think I can pick up another extra life in another stage. Anyways, the weapon he gives is the Boomerang Cutter, I think it's called. I can't even remember the weapon names perfectly. But it throws out a boomerang that will actually refund your weapon energy if it comes back to you without hitting an enemy, so that's nice. And it can pick up items and power-ups. So you'll actually have a couple of power-ups that can only be obtained this way. Like, you might have noticed that there was a heart-shaped item in the stage that I just played. That is actually going to expand the maximum amount of health you have if you can pick it up. And I think the easiest way to pick it up is to use the Boomerang Cutter. So anyways, we've entered Sting Chameleon stage, and if you climb up here, you will find a mini-boss. And this mini-boss is actually very important. I'm going to demonstrate the new weapon against him. Here it is. Now this mini-boss blocks all of your shots unless its claw is out, and you get around the claw, like this. And I can't really show off the finer points of the Boomerang Cutter because I'm just firing point blank at this guy. It's not the strongest weapon to use against this mini-boss, like it's not a weakness or anything. Eventually I switch over to the Shotgun Ice and finish him off. He's got a lot of health. And by destroying him, I actually stop him from raining down projectiles throughout the cave underneath him. If I did not destroy this mini-boss, then he would be raining down those projectiles on me, so that's very good. And by destroying him, you uncover another Dr. Light capsule. Dr. Light, what the heck? Why was an enemy blocking your capsule? Was it placed there so that it would be guarded from the enemies in this stage? I don't know. But this upgrade only works for X anyways. Anyways, it's the body armor. The body armor is nice because it reduces all damage you take by half, which is going to be very, very helpful, I must say. Yeah. You have such a tiny health bar at the beginning of Mega Man X1, and all of the X games, kind of think of it. You have to collect all of those heart tanks if you want a life meter that resembles what Mega Man had in the classic games. Which I think is meant to represent the fact that X is actually a very old robot by the modern day standards as far as the narrative goes, and there's a free life for some reason. And you actually don't take damage when you are in the white armor, so I'm going to use this opportunity to pick up a bunch of health upgrades, or health recovery items, rather. But the white armor can also be destroyed, so you gotta watch that. Its health meter is separate from yours, which is fine by me. So anyways, back to what I was saying, X is actually a very old robot because he was discovered, like, I think several hundred years or a century or so after he was put in stasis in order to be kept safe until he was ready to awaken into the new world. And then a bunch more robots were made based on X's technology, but they've got a bunch of armor and upgrades and way stronger weapons, so that's why their health meters are so much bigger than yours. This is amplified significantly in Mega Man Zero, because Zero is an even older robot by the time he's in those games, to the point that bosses are sporting multiple bars of health. It's crazy. Right, so Sting Chameleon. He can take a little while to defeat because he likes to hide in the background and reappear. And I've never actually seen him shoot out his tongue while just standing on the ground until this point, so that's very interesting to watch. You just gotta be ready for him. Watch the background closely and you can see where he's going to appear, and then you can let off a charge shot very quickly. That tongue lashing attack is the hardest one to avoid because he's often very close to you when he's about to do it. I think if you jump at the right time, you might be able to like shoot at him and still avoid the attack, but the 3 Chameleon Sting shots are completely static, so those are simple to avoid. But the very annoying attack to avoid is the raining spikes, because those are completely random. But you don't really take a lot of damage from them, so it's kind of okay. You just have to be sure to shoot at him, because it might be difficult to find an opportunity to do it, and I'm on very low health right now. This is not good. It's down to the wire yet again, and I've had the body armor for this fight. So that goes to show how difficult this game can be if you were to, like, do a no-upgrade run of it. Unless you have, like, all of the attack patterns memorized, in which case, you know, go crazy. So what weapon do you think you get from Sting Chameleon? It's called Chameleon Sting. Yeah! Very creative, is it not? Alright, so Chameleon Sting is an okay-ish weapon. It fires a shot that splits into 3 shots in multiple directions, so that's very useful. It can hit big enemies multiple times if you place it correctly, so that's going to be very helpful. Next up is Storm Eagle, whose stage has the best song in the game. Totally has the best song in the game. And my voice is going to ruin it for a lot of people, I'm sure. Anyways, this stage, like most aerial stages in Mega Man, has a lot of bottomless pits. You have to, well, actually not a lot of bottomless pits, but you do have to run over platforms and such. There's a lot of platforming. And I'm dash jumping off of that platform there in order to pick up the first heart tank of the run. As you see, it increases my maximum health. There are 8 in total placed throughout the 8 main stages. And there are a bunch of other power-ups as well, in addition to the Dr. Light capsules. There's a capsule in this stage, as a matter of fact, but I'm not going to pick it up. Instead, the enemy is going to pick me up. Anyways, the Dr. Light capsule in this stage is actually the worst one. It just gives you a helmet that can crush blocks above you, but the leg upgrade can already crush blocks with your feet. So it's not really that useful except to pick up a couple of items in this game. In fact, there's a capsule that can be obtained only if you have the head upgrade, except for the fact that it can be obtained automatically through a plot event later on anyways. So I'm not going to destroy all these enemies, I'm just going to skip most of the platforms with enemies on them. Yeah. So earlier on, I'm way behind the actual video with the commentary, geez. I picked up a sub-tank. That is a new item. Here's where the head upgrade capsule would be. Jeez, my voice. What am I doing? The sub-tanks are a new thing. They are the replacement for energy tanks. Energy tanks are no longer one-use free health recovery items. Now, when you get a sub-tank, it's initially empty. You have to fill it with not weapon energy. You have to fill it with life energy capsules. But you can only fill the sub-tank when you're full on health, and you don't need to take the boss door in order to get to the boss room. Just jump onto that little platform, and you're good to go. So this jet that we're on is actually the plane that we saw in the intro stage, and we've just blown it up. Storm Eagle's not exactly happy about that, so he's going to try and fly the plane up into the sky and then blow us off. Most of Storm Eagle's attacks involve trying to push you off the platform to your death. But with the dash upgrade for the legs, that's really not an issue. In fact, just dash towards him and shoot at him, I guess. This isn't exactly going well for Storm Eagle. He's, oh yeah, if he goes into this pattern, he can take up a bunch of time because he's just flying around the screen. A neat idea for a boss, but he's so slow despite being this avian robot. Really weird. He's an eagle and he's the slowest thing ever. So I should mention that defeating Storm Eagle actually has repercussions for the later parts of the playthrough. There are stages in Mega Man X1 that when you beat them, they actually have an effect on other stages. So when we defeat Storm Eagle, it actually causes the plane to crash into one of the other stages, which will have an effect on that stage. In fact, we're going to that stage next. Spark Mangel's up next. He runs a power plant, but now that we've crashed Storm Eagle's plane into him, now the entire power plant is out of power and it's going to be completely dark. Some enemies are weakened by this. It's a really interesting way to handle this. I think this is actually the first time in Mega Man where they've had one stage affect another based on the order you play them in. Defeating Chill Penguin actually causes one of the other stages to freeze over, which is kind of annoying because, as I said, playing Chill Penguin first is basically like you have to do it. Oh, you can also only pick up this sub-tank with Boomer KUUANGER's weapon, by the way, so that's nice. So yeah, because 99% of playthroughs of this game pick Chill Penguin first, you'll almost never see the stage he affects completely unaffected, so that's unfortunate. This is Storm Tornado, by the way. It's Storm Eagle's weapon, and it's one of the most overpowered ones in the game. It just does a ton of damage. It has a massive hitbox. It travels over long distances if you keep it on screen. And, that did not happen. That was a complete illusion. You did not just see me lose a life in the most spectacularly stupid way possible. Jeez. Anyways, I guess we get to, like, go through this part of the stage again without Storm Tornado, I guess, because now I have to conserve its ammo. So yeah, Storm Tornado, totally broken. But interestingly, it's not the most broken weapon in the game. At least depending on your viewpoint. How does complete invincibility sound? Moving on, the mini-boss is coming up. This enemy is called a Thunder Slimer. And because we crashed the plane into the power plant, it's now significantly weakened. This enemy would have been a lot faster and a lot more powerful if we had played Spark Mangel first, for example. But yeah. With Storm Tornado, he's also taken down very easily. And we move on to the next part of the stage, which is going to have more darkness, and there's no enemies in that hallway. What a waste. So yeah, more darkness because the lights have gone out, because again, we crashed the plane into the power plant. What are the other stages that are affected by other stages you play? If you beat Launch Octopus, who is a water stage, before going to Sting Chameleon, then Sting Chameleon stage is going to be flooded, and that's a very easy hard tank to get. You just have to make a well-placed dash jump. So let's see, what else was I going to talk about? If you beat, I'm going to see any other stages affected by other bosses we've beaten. I don't think we are. Just Spark Mangel and, Flame Mammoth, who is affected by Chill Penguin being beaten. So yeah. I'm trying to keep my health at max, because the only way to fill a sub-tank is if you're at full health, and that's not exactly going so well. So we're up to the boss. Spark Mangel can be a little bit of a challenge to get a handle on his pattern if you don't use his weakness, which is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to use his weakness. Alright, so, yeah, I haven't really fought this guy without his weakness in quite a while. What he does is he punches the wall, which can knock you off of it. There are a lot of attacks which knock you off the walls if you try to cling to them, which is great because you would think clinging to the wall constantly would just wreck the difficulty, but that's not quite how it works. If he does go for a punch, you can actually let loose a fully charged shot to knock him back, but I don't think I got the opportunity to do that. And he usually follows it up with another punch anyways, so it's not really something to rely on. It looks pretty cool though, and he actually takes the same amount of damage as Chill Penguin does, so maybe starting him with him is not a bad idea, except for the fact that you will lack the dash. I think the main 8 stages were made without the dash in mind, like they expected you to maybe try playing them without the dash, which means that playing with the dash is even more valuable, so you're still going to go to Chill Penguin first if you know that that's where the dash upgrade is. I think a lot of people did. So moving on to Armored, I'm not sure if that's spelled correctly. It's easy to confuse an R for another A. So Armored Armadillo is a very fun stage, probably my favorite, because it has the best song in the game. And it has these minecarts, which are a lot of fun. If you dash jump off of them, you just get such a massive speed boost. You can really fly through the level if you know what you're doing, and unfortunately I do not. Now, this was a very blink and you'll miss it moment, but one of those bats actually looked like a classic Mega Man 4 bat. And if you destroy that enemy, this is a bit of an Easter egg, you get a free 1-up from that enemy, all the time, every time. So, if you go behind where this little mole robot thing, this digger, I guess, if you go behind where it comes out, you will find another sub-tank, but you'll probably miss out on those 2 energy refilling items up there. Oh, actually, you need the head upgrade in order to even get to them, so it doesn't even really matter. Oh, these are some very lucky drops, though. I'm filling up my sub-tanks very quickly. Another neat feature introduced by Mega Man X is that you've probably noticed that I have been switching weapons without going to the weapon select menu. That is because you can use the L and R buttons to cycle through weapons you've obtained, which is very nice. You can even use it during cutscenes, during boss intros. Just saves you a little bit more time, and it's very nice. So yeah, coming up we have another one of the digging robots, but now we need to get ahead of this robot, and I'm trying to get maybe a health refill? No dice. So if you slide through here, you can get ahead of the digging robot, which is important because if you are behind it, then it's going to crush the part of the wall you need in order to jump up and get that heart tank. So we've got yet another heart tank, very easy to find. And we have the final minecart of the level. This is just a really great stage if you want to grind up your sub-tanks. And because there are so many enemies that you just crush for free, and maybe pick up some items along the way. And there's also this free energy refill here. That ledge, by the way, is the location of a very secret Dr. Light capsule. You can only get it if you collect all of the items and upgrades in the entire game and like visit that part of the stage like 5 different times, like on 5 different replays of the stage. It contains the Hadoken, which is a reference to Street Fighter. You can do Hadokens as Mega Man X, and they kill all bosses in 1 hit, which is very, very helpful, but you need to be at full health in order to do it, so don't get hit. Would have been helpful for Armored Armadillo, who is another time waster. X1 just unfortunately has a lot of bosses that take a while because of Armored Armadillo's heavy defense. It's not possible to hit him while he's bouncing around the room like that, and he will often block your shots, and I'm pretty sure he takes 1 damage from all weapons besides his weakness, which will actually cause him to throw off his armor completely. We'll be seeing that in the refight, fortunately, and this game, you know, 7 games in, they still do the whole boss refight things. It's a tradition. But yeah, you'll notice that I'm actually shooting off 2 shots at the same time when he's on the ground like that. 1 mid-charge shot and 1 tiny little pellet just by rapidly pushing the Y button, which will cause him to lower his guard and get hit. And if he gets hit by a charge shot or a mid-charge shot and blocks it, then he will unleash that energy after absorbing it, which leaves him vulnerable again. So you can get him into this cycle of just constantly doing this over and over again, but it takes a while. That's the thing. That's a little bit interesting, though. I've never blasted him while he's in the mid-air like that. Anyways, how many stages do we have left? We're like 28 minutes in, and I'm halfway done with the game, I think. The X series is a little... You know, I don't know if this actually matters to anyone, really, but Mega Man 4, 5, and 6 have 16 stages apiece in them, and all throughout the X series, they just have less and less stages than that. Like, X8 only has, what, like 11 stages or something? Very weird. Moving on to Launch Octopus, which is the water level of this game. No Rush Marine, unfortunately. We're never gonna get another submarine item in a Mega Man game, it's so awful. But yeah, water physics are back. And I got a free 1-up, and this stage you'll notice me doing a lot of big jumps to skip past a bunch of enemies. Unfortunately, the mini-bosses can't be skipped over, but they're very easy to destroy anyways. Oh, that's so awful, putting those health refills that I could have put into the sub-tanks on the spikes. So awful. So this guy takes the most amount of damage from Chameleon Sting, which is good, because if you fire it at the correct distance, he will get hit by all 3 shots. He drops a lot of health refills. I've got a full sub-tank now. So these enemies can actually eat you and drain your health. You don't want to rapid fire anything other than the buster while you're in them, because that'll just waste a bunch of your ammo. Yeah, don't do it with Storm Tornado, for instance. Fire Storm Tornado when you're outside the enemy, not inside. Alright, so now we've got a kind of sort of mini-boss. It's a big ship of some kind, but it's very easily destroyed by a single Storm Tornado. What an ineffective battleship. What was it trying to do anyways? Drop its death charges at me as I pass underneath? Well, anyways, it actually reveals a hidden mini-boss, who is also very easily destroyed by a single Storm Tornado. Man, this weapon is broken. Alright, so... No! Health refills on the spikes again! I have to give up a life if I want to pick those up? Well, I guess it would have been a good idea to do that anyways, because after I got the heart tank, I very accidentally died. Which means I have to fight a mini-boss over and over again. Annoying. But that's on me for losing a life, I guess. I have extra lives saved up, so it's not really that big of a deal. Alright, so moving on, after having dealt with 2 mini-bosses, a semi-mini-boss, another mini-boss, we are going to fight... You don't have to actually fight the ship again, unless you want to get down there for some reason, but I've already picked up the heart tank, so whatever. And here's another mini-boss. One that takes a little bit longer to defeat. Because you have to wait for him to come out of the sand. I fired in the wrong direction, so that's always nice. His tail is also vulnerable, but I don't know if that really does any more damage or anything. So yeah, after destroying him, we will move on to the boss after a short segment full of those weird fish that eat you. They're very easy to destroy with a Storm Tornado. I'm not even sure why those were there. They should have just let me go on to the boss. Launch Octopus can be very difficult for a first-timer if you're using only the buster. He just shoots out a ton of bullets. And check out this boss intro. He actually has a fun little animation. Hey you, you're going down! That's so cute. Launch Octopus is so cute. Something that I don't show off in this playthrough, unfortunately, is that if you use Boomerang Cutter against him, you will actually cut off his arms, which will prevent him from using some of his bullet spam attacks. And this weird tornado attack that he's using, you don't want to get hit by it, because if he catches you in that, he will actually drain your health and give it back to him. But it's almost impossible to get caught unless you don't have the dash. Yeah, they should have just given you the dash from the start. Maybe in the intro stage, something like that. Then they could have designed the rest of the game based on you having it instead of just like having to like make all these bosses super easy with the dash. Yeah. So yeah, bit of an annoying boss battle, but I've fought him quite a number of times in my life, so yeah, I'm used to him. So he's gone. We only have, what, one more boss to fight, I think? We're down to the last of the 8 main stages. And we've been playing for half an hour, so if I want to get this under an hour, we're going to have to move it a little bit. Next up is Flame Mammoth. He is the final of the 8 main stages, and like I mentioned before, beating Chill Penguin makes this stage a whole lot easier, so seeing this stage without the effect of having beaten Chill Penguin first is very rare. It is also where the final Dr. Light capsule is, but you can only get it with a head upgrade. So we're not going to get it. Oh yeah, and here's a fun little glitch. I'm going to try and do a glitch here. To pull this off, you have to pull a Mario 1. By which I mean go above the screen like that. They didn't count on you doing that, but it's actually very hilarious to be able to do that in a Mega Man game. And it causes a glitch because now the sub-tank, that's what that thing is glitched, and the enemies here are invisible. The background is this weird green color, and there's actually a bottomless pit underneath all of this. There wouldn't be one normally. I'm actually going to backtrack into that area in order to get the sub-tank and the heart tank. So I just have to advance far enough that the game unloads that area so I can fix it. And here we go. First up, we're going to get that sub-tank, and that's what all of the enemies were. More of those miners from Armored Armadillo stage. Oh yeah, before I forget to mention it, Flame Mammoth stage music, best song in the game. Just, yeah. You don't need the head upgrade to get this. You actually only need the leg upgrade because it can crush the bricks in your way. They don't really tell you that those bricks can be crushed by your leg upgrade. I mean, it doesn't really tell you that the leg upgrade can do that. And here's the heart tank, which is in a bed of frozen lava. If I hadn't beaten Chill Penguin first, then the lava would be flowing and it would actually damage me quite a lot. But we don't get to deal with that, and a lot of people don't get to deal with that because they play Chill Penguin first, as I mentioned. So we have crushers, which aren't that annoying because you can dash past them easily even if the lava was still there. Like, I think maybe they should have just left the 8 main stages alone. It's nice that stages are affected by the order you play them in, more so than having certain weapons or not. But, like, are you really gonna just reduce the difficulty of a stage just because players played Chill Penguin first? Yeah, that's part of the reason, like, all of these things that I'm mentioning about X1 are the reason I like X2 a little better from a gameplay perspective, but X1 was just such a really great intro to the series that I can't really fault it for much of this. It's still a lot of fun. Alright, Flame Mammoth. He is the slowest boss in the game, probably. I mean, he just jumps around a bunch, and this will knock you on your feet, but it doesn't really matter because he's not quick enough to follow up with anything. Those blobs of oil do absolutely nothing unless he follows it up with a fireball, which will ignite the oil and make the fire stay there for quite a little bit. Like Metal Man from Mega Man 2, he can change the direction of the conveyor belt, which does absolutely nothing. Okay, he actually managed to jump into me that one time. I will give him that, but he's still like one of the lowest ranking difficult bosses in this series, I would say. So with all of the 8 main stages defeated, we are going to move on to the fortress levels, and this game actually doesn't tell you a whole lot about the plot of Mega Man X. It's mostly confined to the manual, but we've been fighting a bunch of robots called Mavericks. That's what it's called. That's what they call robot criminals. They're called Mavericks, and X and Zero are Maverick hunters. Now, things got a little bit difficult for the hunters when their boss, Sigma, went Maverick and decided he wanted to eradicate the human race. We can't have that, can we? Yeah. Sigma's got this weird thing going on with his mouth, which I don't really know what was going on there. I think that was a shout out to some kind of singer from the 60s or something, I don't really know. So yeah, it took them beating those 8 Mavericks to figure out where Sigma's fortress was, and here we are. Zero's gonna rush in ahead and keep the main defense force busy. Convenient excuse for X to not have to fight alongside him, which would have been really fun, I gotta say. So we have a climb into the fortress here on these moving platforms. I recommend using the homing torpedo, which was Launch Octopus's weapon. Because it homes in on enemies. Obviously, it's a torpedo that is fired out of the water. How can you have a torpedo if it's not in the water? Okay, that's strange. So we have a cutscene here, and I tried to do a cutscene skip trick, but that didn't work, unfortunately, so we get to watch this cutscene. Hey look, it's Vile, he's back, and we're finally going to defeat the boss that crushed us last time. Or at least Zero's going to maybe do some damage to him. And we can hear the fight sound effects, which is a neat touch. But when we get in here, unfortunately, Zero has been captured. Nice job, Zero. Unfortunately, I came in here with a full health bar because I was trying to fill my sub-tank, so I have to wait for Vile to reduce all of my health and use the paralyzing attack again. Because he has to do that a second time for some reason. I don't know what it is about his ride armor that is so incredibly invincible. Like, you're gonna see what it actually takes to destroy this thing right here. He sets X on one side of the room, walks over to the other, and then Zero breaks out of the cage, which he could have done a lot sooner, thank you very much, and then he self-destructs on Vile's ride armor. I don't really know why it had to come to that. I mean, you blew off his arm in the intro stage, so couldn't you have done that? I don't know, but I'm kind of ruining the plot of X1, because even though the narrative is not really, like, that important or anything, it's just enough to make you care about playing the game, which is something that the classic series kind of lacked for a little while. Anyways, we get to fight Vile without his armor. Without the armored carrier, he's pretty much weak to basically anything. His official weakness is the rolling shield, which is Armored Armadillo's weapon. But that thing is just not a good weapon. I prefer the homing torpedoes because you don't really have to aim. Careful with its ammo count, though, because you have to use it later on in the stage. Well, I have to use it later on. I guess you could use whatever you wanted, but it's going to be useful later on. So yeah, Zero is now dead. Not as dead as advertised, however. And he decides to give us a hand with the rest of the game. Literally, he gave us his hand. He gave us his Buster gun, which is now super powerful when combined with X's gun. This is actually the same as the Dr. Light capsule that would have given you the arm upgrade, but you actually need it in order to finish the game. So it's given to you for free in the Fortress stage. Can't be skipped. And what I'm doing here is the arm upgrade actually allows you to charge your special weapons, which will create more powerful effects, which is very nice. And in the case of Sting Chameleon, charging it up and unleashing it as soon as I stop failing at this very basic task, it will make you invincible for a short period of time. Most broken weapon in the game, if you charge it. Yes. So yes, we have boss refights. Here's a Boomer KUUANGER boss refight. Like with Mega Man 1, the boss refights are placed throughout the Fortress stages instead of in like one room with a bunch of capsules. Unfortunately, they go back to the capsule teleport system in X2 onwards. I think placing them throughout the stages is a little more interesting than just having them all in one stage. Like, it adds to the test of endurance that comes with most of the Fortress stages, because these are definitely tests of endurance. Alright, so we just have a small bit of stage left until the boss. Now, I should mention that there is a remake of this game on the PlayStation Portable called Maverick Hunter X. It reshuffles the order of the rematches in the Fortress stages, and it moves the Vile fight to Fortress Stage 3, which is right before the final boss. That and a bunch of other changes in Maverick Hunter X, such as making Zero's arm upgrade different from Dr. Light's arm upgrade, is a reason I prefer the original over Maverick Hunter X, and I think a lot of people also prefer the original over Maverick Hunter X. But I would have liked them to continue remaking the X games. Like, I never understood why they... Well, I understand why they stopped. They weren't selling well enough. But anyways, the first Fortress boss. This is called Bow Spider, and the pattern of movement here, where the boss moves down these vertical shafts, always taking a green rope if it's available, and these are random green ropes, by the way. This is a reference to a sort of lottery minigame that they have over in Japan, that is popular in Japan anyways, for distributing items and stuff, like as prizes, or whatever. Anyways, it's called Ghost Leg in English if you want to look it up, like on Wikipedia or something. It's so ingrained into popular culture in Japan that it actually pops up in a couple of other games. Like, if you remember my playthrough of Digimon World 1, there was the Amida Forest, I think that's how it's pronounced, the Amida Forest, where it was these vertical hallways with horizontal tunnels, and if you did not move through a horizontal tunnel whenever it was available, you would get shot at. So yeah, that's what that was a reference to. Very difficult to figure out that puzzle if you're a Westerner, because it's not such a cultural thing in the West. So yeah, we were confused for a little while. This boss isn't that confusing, though. I just lost a life because I'm bad at dodging. I mean, I can read the ropes just fine, but when you throw in those mini spiders into the mix, then things get difficult. And I'm actually going to run out of shotgun ice ammo, which is unfortunate. I have no idea how I ran out of shotgun ice ammo. Like, I guess I used it too much against the mini spiders. Jeez. So I'm going to have to use the Buster against this boss for the last part of it. I don't think many other weapons are all that good against it. And the annoying thing about the fully charged shot from the Zero arm upgrade is that if you hit an enemy with it in the incorrect way, like, I don't really know what the correct or incorrect way is, but if you hit it in the wrong way, it can sometimes do less damage than it's supposed to. Like, I think that happens right here. It did 1 damage. I had the fully charged shot and it did 1 damage. So it might be better to do a mid-charge shot instead of a full charge shot at times with that weapon. So yeah, I should have done much more damage with the fully charged pink charge shot, but whatever. The boss is down, we can move on to Fortress Stage 2. There are only 3 stages left in the game. We don't get a weapon for that boss, unfortunately. I used to think the Fortress bosses did give you weapons when I was a kid. That was very disappointing to find out that that's not the case. You can actually revisit any stage that you want in between Fortress stages. And you will also get all of your weapon energy back between Fortress stages, which is very nice. I think that's a good thing, because if I had to take on all of the Fortress stages with limited amounts of ammo, then I would be hurting quite a lot. So, Fortress Stage 2 starts off nice and basic. We have some very regular enemies, and we're going to have 2 boss rematches in this Fortress stage. First up is Chill Penguin, which means I get to show off the Fire Wave, which you get from Flame Mammoth. It's not really a good weapon. It's fine against Chill Penguin because you just have to get close to him, and it is pretty powerful, I would say, but it has less range than Storm Tornado, so I don't know why you're going to use it and not Storm Tornado. Interesting little detail is that this weapon does not work underwater. So if you try to use it and launch Octopus' stage, it's not going to work. I mean, maybe it does work, but the hitbox would be very tiny. I've never really tested it against underwater enemies because I know that it's no good underwater. Moving on. We have some ride armors. These are the last ride armors in the game. I'm not sure how much I like ride armors, to be completely honest. They seem to trivialize parts of the stage. And since they're so limited in how they're used, they're basically like Rush Marine. You can only use them in sections where the developers allow you to. And as soon as you get to that ladder, the fun with the ride armor is over. It would be nice if there was like a game centered completely around ride armors, and you were allowed to use them like you were basically expected to use them throughout the whole stage, but I don't know how that kind of game would turn out. I know X3 introduced multiple different ride armors, and you can choose when and where to use them, but that's a little bit excessive, I would say. You don't need to, like, put in multiple different ride armors when you're really only going to maybe use 1 or 2 of them. I don't know. So Storm Eagle. He is weak to Chameleon Sting, and I'm going to stay on the right side of the arena so that I don't have to traverse the entire arena to get back to the stage when he's inevitably defeated. Bosses still go very quickly when you use their weaknesses, which I think is unfortunate. Like, a weakness shouldn't trivialize the boss completely, and from here on out and through the rest of the X series, they kind of do. It's unfortunate. It's nice that the Zero series moved away from boss weaknesses, though. Well, almost, I would say. I mean, they're not weaknesses in the traditional sense, but whatever. This boss is an entire room. It is called, I kid you not, Lambda Bamda? Or Rangda Bangda, I think? It's supposed to be named after a Greek letter, like Sigma is, and Gamma was, and Alpha and Battle Network, etc. So it's a very basic boss. You just gotta avoid the eyes when they come out. The eyes will also shoot at you. And they color-coded their attacks. So red just shoots 3 projectiles at you, green shoots 1, and blue tries to ram into you. And when the walls are closed, the nose starts coming out and attacking as well. Careful when you destroy the nose, however, because once you destroy that, the walls stay right where they are, and you have to fight the eyes with just the vertical space that you're left to work with. That can be very annoying. 2 stages to go until the ending, and I should also mention that that boss was also weak to Chameleon Sting, which was also Storm Eagle's weakness, so be sure to conserve your ammo, although Chameleon Sting does have quite a bit of ammo. So alright, so moving on, we have a stage that is full of almost nothing but boss refights, which can be annoying. There's a way to skip the rematch with Armored Armadillo through a glitch, but I'm not really interested in learning how to do that just for this playthrough. I mean, I learned to do a lot of things just for my playthroughs, but whatever. So yeah, using Electric Spark, which is Spark Mangel's weapon against Armored Armadillo, and he gets shocked and fried and he loses his armor, and now you can actually hit him during the attack where he bounces around the room. So yeah, using that can definitely wreck most of what makes him interesting. And I don't know what it is about Electric Spark, but it seems to have a very, very low ammo count, so no idea what's going on. Also, that hole in the ceiling makes me wonder where Armored Armadillo drops in from. Does he have like a room with a TV set or something that he just sits in waiting for X to show up? Well, it's fun to think of it that way, I guess. Sting Chameleon is absolutely wrecked by his weakness, which is the boomerang cutter. Hitting him like this will cause him to go into an AI loop where he does nothing but the attack where he rains spikes on you, but if you get into the correct rhythm, like, his invincibility runs out the instant he's in place to initiate the attack again, so that's a very, very easy boss. And you want to conserve your ammo for this weapon too, because again, it is the weakness of the stage boss, so keep that in mind. Next section of the level is very short. And, who's next? I think it's Sparkmandrill. He is weak against the shotgun ice, which will actually freeze him in place. Now, I used to believe that one of the unfortunate shortcomings of Maverick Hunter X was that Sparkmandrill is completely trivialized by his weakness in Maverick Hunter X. I didn't think this was the case in the SNES original, but it turns out it kind of is. You can see the problem with his fight, but you just have to be careful with the timing, because if you fire too early, he'll still get hit, but he won't be frozen, and you'll have to deal with an attack. That was a fun thing to do, by the way, using the little ice bit from the other side of the screen to hit him. Alright, so that's the end of him, and moving on. I didn't even show off all of the charged weapons, but, yeah, you can see me wasting some of my Storm Tornado ammo here. We're eventually going to have to refight Flame Mammoth, so I'm going to pick up this weapon energy capsule so that I have energy for him. We're underwater now, so I guess, what boss is going to be next? Who knows? No, it's Launch Octopus. And I should have shown off the boomerang cutter trick, but whatever. His weakness is the rolling shield, and it can be a bit annoying to hit him with this, because if the rolling shield runs into a projectile, then it's just destroyed, and you can't hit him during this part of the fight anyways, when he initiates that attack. Rolling shield can also be annoying because if you miss, then it has to bounce around the room for a little bit before it explodes and you're allowed to fire again. I guess maybe switching to another weapon would erase the projectile like it does in Mega Man 4 or 5, I think. At some point they introduced that mechanic where you can pause to erase projectiles so you can switch weapons again. If you want to get that 1-up, it's very easy to do. You just charge the Chameleon Sting so that you become invincible. Here's the last refight of the stage, which is Flame Mammoth. This is going to be, like, super, super easy. It was super easy when I had just the Buster. But now I got Storm Tornado, so this is going to be even worse because one shot can hit him multiple times. If you charge the Storm Tornado, it creates a vertical tornado instead of a horizontal one, which, it's not really that helpful, but whatever. The charged versions of the special weapons don't really need to be helpful. Alright, so that's the last refight of the stage, which means that we now have just the actual stage boss, which is known as D-Rex. He is another enemy with a lot of wall ramming attacks. Ramming attacks are actually, like, more common in X1 than you think. When you think ramming attacks, you probably think about X3 and how many ramming attacks they have then. Kind of interesting. Alright, so not really difficult to avoid his attacks, just don't get crushed, and if you want to avoid the giant purple ball, then just climb into the corner and stay there. Very simple boss. Kind of an interesting creation, though, a tank with two halves, one that floats, the other moves along the ground, and they try to crush you. That was an interesting boss idea, but he's weak to the boomerang cutter. Very easy to hit him with that, because if you are standing, the boomerang cutter actually goes up. If you are in the air, it goes down. Very easy to hit the top half of him with that. Just try not to spam it against the lower half, because you will do no damage. Alright, so here we go. The final stage of the game. Just ignore that little message. I swear I did not use a save state between attempts at this stage, so that I wouldn't have to grind up my sub-tanks. Yeah, whatever. It's not like it really matters. So you know what X has been lacking this entire time? A robot dog. Why does Sigma get a robot dog, but X doesn't? Classic Mega Man had a robot dog, I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out if this dog was maybe X's partner before, like, Sigma went Maverick and everyone started following him instead of X. But, yeah, he goes down pretty quickly with a shotgun ice. That's unfortunate. Doggy, go down the hole. his attacks weren't really that difficult to avoid anyways. If you get hit, you might get hit once or twice. But anyways, say hello to Jedi Sigma. Unfortunately, Sigma forgot to use the Force in this battle. Because despite having a lightsaber, he's never going to swing it once. He might use it to block, sure. But, you know, you can just so easily get him into this pattern where he just bounces around the walls like this. He's so predictable. I don't know. It's kind of disappointing to, like, face the leader of the Mavericks only to find out that he's this easy. I don't know. I mean, he has two other attacks. One where he swings the lightsaber at you, and the other where he shoots bullets out of his head. But he'll never use them as long as you're up on the walls like this. It's so unfortunate. Well, anyways, his weakness is Electric Spark. He takes 2 damage from it instead of 3 like most other weaknesses. So yeah, come on Sigma, you can do better than that. Give me a challenge! I take it back. I take it back! Yeah, I like how there's no dialogue for this fight, by the way. I think silently having the head rise to the top of the screen is much more intimidating than just like having the boss like taunt you for a little bit. I don't know. So this boss can be very, very difficult because its attacks do a lot of damage, even with the body armor. So if you don't have like 4 full sub-tanks, this could be very tricky. What you're supposed to do is get up onto the claws of the boss and then shoot at the head, either with the fully charged Zero Buster charge shot, which will do 1 damage, or a simple rolling shield, which will do 2 damage. I wonder which I decided to use for this fight, because it's 10 times easier to do it this way. Yeah. So you gotta be careful standing on those claws, though, because they can shoot electricity at you. Very easy to defeat him if you, like, stand on the edge of the claw, because you will avoid the electricity completely. But then you have to watch out for the other claws slamming into you, and I just used up all of my sub-tanks for this, because I wanted to be absolutely certain. I actually wound up not needing the second sub-tank, but whatever. I wanted to be very certain that I did not mess this up. Because if you die to any of those bosses, you have to start the entire stage over again. And you won't have your sub-tanks for the second attempt. Yeah. There are caterpillars coming out of the walls in that vertical shaft in case you want to grind up energy on them, and I decided to speed this up because it takes so long. It's slower than the intro to a Star Wars movie. Hey look, another Star Wars joke. And it's all introspective and stuff. X feels bad about all of the destruction he caused, even though he kind of just saved the world and all of the humankind from Sigma. But no, he gets to feel bad about it because of that suffering circuit that Dr. Light gave him. I think that's literally what it's called. The thing that makes him feel pain. And then they scroll through all of the enemy names and all of the bosses. You don't really need to see all of that. I sped this up so that the video would be less than 1 hour long, because I'm weird like that. And then it ends the staff roll with this. And you as Mega Man X. Probably very cheesy. But, you know, that's the end of Mega Man X1. A very excellent game. Yeah, excellent. Get it? For some reason, the staff roll still uses pseudonyms, and I have no idea what Tatsunoko was doing in this game. I guess they were involved with Mega Man long before Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. Or maybe they were crediting Tatsunoko for all that inspiration they took from their works. Because, like, it's very obvious to see a lot of, like, references back to Tatsunoko properties. In particular, Neo-Human Kasharn is a very huge influence on Mega Man X, because Kasharn had, like, robots rebelling against their creators, which is basically what Sigma was doing. The antagonist of Kasharn has that eye patch and the hat that makes him look like M. Bison from Street Fighter. Yeah. So yeah, definitely a very excellent game. One of my favorites, even though I kind of like X2 a little bit more. But yeah. Looking forward to playing through X2 if it comes to that, because I have a lot of experience with that game too. I played it a lot more than things like Mega Man 5 or Mega Man 6. So, is that the end? Like, what is this? Why did I leave this screen up for so long? And what's that thing in the background? Well, is that gonna be it? Do I turn the game off now, or what do I do? Well, what else do I have to say about Mega Man X? Well, oh yeah. You know how it said, those who sacrifice themselves for the victory will never return? Blatant lies. Just saying. Oh, look, it's Sigma again. Oh, naturally. Oh, we destroyed a temporary body, but his spirit remains intact. I guess that's believable, because he is a robot. You could just, well, see you soon for Mega Man X2. Bye, everybody.